Okay, the time being 7 p.m, the meeting is declared open. The town of Walkerville would like to acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the land we're meeting on today and respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We recognise the many generations of stewardship the Kaurna people have provided to this land and respect their cultural heritage and beliefs are as important today as they were for their ancestors. Attendance record: present as myself, Deputy Mayor Jay Allinson, Councillors Stephen Ripp, James Williams, John Zeppel, James Nenke, Amar Kaur, Liz Trotter, and I note Councillor Vanstone is also here. Staff in attendance as on screen. Apologies, there are nil. Item 2.3, leave of absence. Have any members got a leave of absence? No. So no, Mayor Jones is on a leave of absence current from 15 May to 23 May. Yeah, it's been amended now, but so Councillor Vanstone's has been removed from the minutes. And then Councillor Trotter's on a leave of absence from 25 July to 8 August. Item 3, confirmation of minutes from the ordinary council meeting held on 22 April 2025. They're confirmed as a true and accurate record of the proceedings. Could I get a mover for that?
I'll move that.
Councillor Zeppel, and then seconded by Councillor Kaur. And all in favour? It's carried. Item 3.2, East Waste Board meeting held on 1 May 2025, be received and noted. Could I get a mover? Councillor Trotter, and seconded. Councillor Ripp. It's carried. Oh, all in favour? Thank you. It's carried.
Through you, Chair, I have a question regarding 3.2 after this. There was another meeting, Walkerville committee meeting held on 5th May. So I couldn't see the meetings.
Apologies, I'll include that in the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. Item 4, declarations of interest by council members. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Item 5, business adjourned. There are none. Item 6, deputations. There are none. Item 7, petitions. There are none. Item 8.1, the Mayor's Diary Report. Council receives and notes the Mayor Diary from 15 April to 12 May this year. Could I get a mover?
Move that way.
Councillor Ripp, and seconded. Councillor Zeppel. All those in favour? It's carried. Item 9, council member updates. Does any member of council have an update to give? Councillor Ripp.
Thank you very much. Just want to thank the staff first of all for the involvement in supporting the RSL for the Anzac Day dawn service and gunfire breakfast. It was actually a really good event. It's great to see the community coming together, and I know that too that this year doesn't have to be minuted this bit, but it was obviously nice to go up with the mayor and be invited, and we'll participate in the laying of the council wreath, and I had some positive comments from the community after, and also thanks to staff for supplying photos for us to use from that event as well. So I know that went quite well, and I know I had positive feedback from the RSL as well. Just to note also on the 10th of May, attended and represented the Mayor with Councillor Kaur as well. So Councillor Kaur and myself attended on the 10th of May for the 60th anniversary celebrations of the Enfield State Emergency Service, or SES. And I was actually surprised that the Enfield SES cover quite north, and they cover all of our area, or the bulk of our area for town of Walkerville, and they go incredibly north. I was surprised to see the depth of area that they cover, of the range that they're expecting all these volunteers to cover. So I definitely pass on from council our thanks for the volunteers and what they do for supporting us in time of need.
Yeah, it was great to attend the event like SES unit and got the chance to see the historical building and static display as well. So got also a chance to have a word with the local volunteers, how they support to the community. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, councillors Rip and Core. Was that your update? That was your update? Yeah. Councillor
And just
Zucker?
feedback that Councillor Trotter and Councillor Rip and myself were at the Eastern Visitor Advisory, and Sarah was there, and that was a really good night, and it was great to see as many of us who could be there. And it's been a year. I went to the original when it first started, and it's gone very quickly. So we're looking forward to further in-depth reports from how it's helped the town of Walkerville, because there's 6 councils involved here, which is quite unusual that you can actually get 6 councils to be involved in something. So I think that's a credit to the work that Sarah's done in that space.
Thank you,
We're
councillor
okay
Zucker.
with that.
Oh, councillor Trotter.
Yes, I just wanted to give an update on the Walkerville Community Committee. We had a meeting on the 5th of May, as Councillor Call mentioned, and we've decided that we will be, and we've registered now for the Chatty Cafe, which is to support isolated and lonely people. We're working a bit of a collab with the Anglican Church and Reverend Tracy Gracie, to see if we can actually find a space that we can use once a month, and this will be funded by the Walkerville Community Committee. So it's only early days at this stage, but I have a meeting with Tracy to confirm the logistics of this, and we have a 12-month plan to put this in place. So we're really excited. The Walkerville Community Committee have been looking for something to support that supports our community, and we feel the isolation of community members, this will actually help them access something.
I'd like to add to that also contributes towards the social prescribing project that we're involved with. So those two things actually work together in this case, which is great.
Excellent, thank you.
Well done.
Councillor
Just
Rip.
reminiscence to forget that, so apologies for staff. I had it in my brain to raise it at the next meeting, not this one, but the Eastern Business Advisory, as it's been noted, very successful event, and it was great to hear from the participants and advisors about how the program sort of touched them. It'd be great to see that also expand and how that will work in the new year. So thank you, Sarah, and the team as well.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, no more council member updates. Item 10, questions from gallery. Welcome to the Town of Walkerville Council meeting. Before we proceed with the questions from the gallery, I'd just like to come across, that's fine. I'd just like to take a moment to outline the rules and procedures for the process. Please just note the following guidelines. Public question time is limited to a total of 30 minutes per meeting. As the presiding member, I will determine the order in which members of the public will speak. Before asking a question, please state your full name and address. You will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to ask your questions. Questions that are offensive, defamatory, relate to personal matters, or are confidential will not be accepted. Council members or staff may provide a verbal response to your questions. If a written response is necessary, it will be provided by the Chief Executive Officer within 5 business days. If the allocated time expires, any remaining questions can be submitted in writing to the Chief Executive Officer, which we have those questions. Please be aware the meeting is recorded both visually and audibly. The recordings will be made available on YouTube and our website. Yeah. Thank you. You may go for it.
Thank you. My name is Rhonda Avard. I live on Walkerville Terrace. I've been involved with the council for many, many years. Not lately, but a lot of involvement with council, particularly with the Russ cottages that are just down the way. Now, I was interested, Joe, when you said that a written a written response can be obtained from the CEO, is that correct?
Yes.
And can I ask for that here at this, during or at the end of my questions? Can I request it verbally, or do I have to put it in writing?
You can request it verbally.
Good.
I'll take that.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for the welcome that we got. Roland and I really appreciated that. Made me feel very comfortable. I have been strongly interested in the urban forest policy since, well, it would be 2012 was first approved. It was intended to guide the council, which I no doubt it has, an enhancement of the community, open space, streetscapes in the town, and protection and enhancement of trees on private land. And I think it's the private land that really was a trigger, particularly following the Buckingham Arms and the strong work that was done by council and by councillors, and the loss of a significant tree, and as I believe the development plan doesn't have the landscaping, but I haven't looked at that in detail. Okay. Question 1. How is the council addressing the effects of infill development on private land, particularly in light of the proposed Buckingham Arms development and the loss of trees and capital value? I emphasise capital value because the trees do have a value, against the goals of the urban forest policy, and how well do the two policies coexist? Do you want to answer that before I go on with my second question? What would you prefer?
Through the Chair, I can answer that question.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you for providing your questions in advance. It means we can get a more coherent, coordinated response to it. And yes, we were intending to send you a written response back in any regard. Just to put in context, so certainly South Australia's planning framework, or the design code that the town of Walkerville is required to follow, as are other councils, is determined by the state government, unfortunately, not ourselves. And the planning framework also outlines where and what form infill development can occur, and the state government also determines the policies around the protection of trees. So a lot of those key decisions aren't this council's to make. However, having said that, the town of Walkerville has been working with other councils, the local government associations and other organisations like Green Adelaide to look at how we can strengthen the state government's what is now previous policy around protection of trees, particularly around infill development. Town of Walkerville, through this advocacy, has resulted in some recent changes to legislation, which I think restricts regulated significant trees a bit further and make penalties and fines a bit harsher, as well as limits what can be done. So part of getting to those, how the two policies interact, our advocacy has been key behind trying to change some of the rules around infill development. And the Buckingham Arms, as you're probably aware, this council actually opposed the development of the Buckingham Arms, both at the first application as well as the more recent one, which was approved by the state government, not this council. The council has recently reviewed its advocacy on the issue. We've also implemented a new strategic plan late last year which aims to achieve a green and sustainable environment, and part of that was increasing tree canopies by about 1% per annum, and we're looking at doing that by planting 150 street trees a year and about 100 reserve trees predominantly along the Torrens corridor. Ironically, as it has, your timing, I'm not sure, must be something around it. The Mayor, or the Acting Mayor and myself, attended a function for the launch of the urban greening strategy by Greening Adelaide on Friday, which we were interested in hearing and undertaking further discussions on some of the initiatives that they're aiming to ensure, I'll get the terminology right, a greener, leafier and biodiverse Adelaide, addressing the demands for more housing and infill development. So that was the key of some of the panel discussion, is to try and work amongst the predominantly council, state government, other reps that were present to address that issue. So we're looking forward to reviewing now. We've got a copy of that to work out how we can further enhance some of our goals and some of our initiatives to address those issues that you have mentioned.
Thank you.
I'll take that at the end of that first question.
Sorry?
I'll take that as the end of the answer to your first question.
Thank you.
You can proceed.
And you can give me a written response to that.
Yes.
You've got all my details.
Yes.
Shall I now go on to
Yes.
question 2? As outlined in the future direction of the policy, how is Council meeting the 3 objectives of engaging residents, particularly B, investigating incentive schemes and guidelines for protecting trees on private land?
The answer to that question is we currently engage, particularly, this is probably more for some of the open park lands, in supporting a number of volunteer greening groups such as the Gilberton Woodlands, the Vale Park, Our Patch Group, through grants, resourcing, funding and materials to help re-establish native vegetation, particularly along some of the green corridors. This work's seen hundreds of trees planted along the river corridor. Ironically, as I mentioned, your timing couldn't be better. We've recently updated our website with information, it's literally in the last couple of days, to assist and encourage the community with planting trees on their residential property. This includes details about species that can be planted and details on it. We'll also be complementing what we've done in the website, our strategic plan, with ironically a flyer that we've created to encourage and provide more information to residents. That will go out in the rates notice that will go out for next year's rates, to provide details and some of both the current canopy coverage, our targets, and as well encourage residents to be involved. We're also, as I mentioned before, going through the urban greening strategy to work out and working with our neighbours of how we can implement other initiatives and other incentives, working out what works, what hasn't worked from our peers that we might be able to implement here.
Yes. Thank you. I don't know if you've ever spoken to Nord Paynham Council. A number of years ago they had a very good incentive for residents, encouraging that planting. Do you talk between the councils?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
There were certainly a number of councils at Friday's function that the acting mayor and myself attend, were outlining what their strategies are. Also, there were people from Greening Adelaide, councils, the Planning Commission, and also designers as how you can design infill development and greenfield or brownfield development to encourage greening trails. So
I think that is very important, because in the policy it is saying talking with residents, and I think the involvement with developers would also be a good idea of showing. You may already do that, but that occurred to me. Thank you, I've taken enough time.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thanks for
You are
coming.
welcome. A written response to the second question would be appreciated too. Thank you.
Yep. No, I've got written response. I'll hit send in the morning.
Oh, I don't have to rush.
No, we'll get it back to you soon.
You're more than welcome to stay if you like. Up to you.
I'll go home.
understandable. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Could I move that the questions and the answers to those questions be included in the minutes, please?
Happy to second that.
Excellent. Those in favour? It's carried. We'll include that. Right, item 11. Questions without notice. Do any members have questions without notice? No? Item 12, questions with notice. There are none. Item 13, motions without notice. Do any members have any motions without notice? No? 14, motions with notice. There are none. Item 15, 15.1, Council Resolution Register. Council receives and notes the Council Resolution Register dated 12 May 2025 is a true and correct record. Are there any questions? Is there any clarification from administration? No.
I'll take it as read and take any questions that the chamber may have.
Yeah, anything from council members? I'll get a mover. Councillor Ripp. And a seconder. Councillor Core. Those in favour? That's carried. Item 15.2 is the draft 2025-26 annual business plan and budget. Is there anything further of administration to add to this?
Nothing further to add, Mayor.
Any questions or queries of council? No, I'll go for a mover. Councillor Trotter. And seconder, Councillor Williams.
Can I speak to it?
Yes?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Mohammed and to the team behind this report. I know it's been a lot of work, and the audit committee have praised you for what you've done in this, and I know we've sent back a lot of drafts, so I really appreciate where this one's gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Those in favour? That's carried. Item 15.3, the long-term financial plan, 26 to 35. Is there anything further, Mohammed?
Nothing further to add, Deputy Mayor.
Is there any questions of the council? I might get a mover for that. Councillor Core, and seconder, Councillor Ripp. Those in favour? It's carried. Item 15.4, open space and buildings asset management plans. Anything further to add with that from the administration?
Through the chair, I guess this is another milestone in our asset management journey, which has probably been going for the last couple of years with the endorsement of the roads, footpaths and stormwater plans last year. Council may remember these plans were workshopped in February. They've since gone to the Audit and Risk Committee, and now we're looking to release them for consultation hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you. Any questions or queries from council? Yes, Councillor Nathan.
First of all, like I always commend the advancement that this council had in their asset management plans and whatnot, having roads, footpaths and stormwater, which I was extremely supportive of, and again continue to be supportive of, obviously. Buildings and open space. So these two asset management plans are the hardest ones to write. So you've got more components, it's probably harder to bring into a document, and I do appreciate that. But look, I was only reading through it very quickly last night. I didn't attend the workshop a while ago, and once again go to the Audit and Risk Committee. There's just a few things that I picked up on, and I've got a heap of questions, to be honest. And I don't want to take all night on that, which kind of concerns me a little bit. I mean, is there a deadline that we have to do it this month, or is there a possibility I can bring these questions back and we defer this item until next month? Is there do you want to go up long-term financial plan, I suppose? Is that the...
There's probably no great urgency to go out other than to get them off our desk and clear them out so we can at least say we have them. So it's not imperative that we get it done tonight.
Yeah, look, it's just, when I went through them, I suppose you can answer a couple of questions for me. On them now. Sorry about this. I suppose, I mean, look, it's a big document, I don't know where to start, so I'll just start from the front and sort of work through. So on page 10, or we'll say 142 of the total agenda, we talk about the Walkerville Sports Club, and we're saying, I'm just wondering whether we should be identifying it with that like 50% of the allocated. Is it in the long-term financial plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not in the renewal plan on page, where is it? Sorry, I'm all over the place here. So yeah, the upgrade new plan, you've got a capital upgrade new there, but I'm not seeing that listed on page 144 anyway.
Through the chair, as that work would be subject to an external grant, I guess we haven't timed it in the asset plan as to what year that could land. However, yeah, in the LTFP we have allocated funding towards that. And obviously we're working through the sports club. I think next week we have a sports club design committee meeting to look at some concepts, and the asset plan is just trying to explain that is a project that will come on the radar with future iterations of this plan. It's hard to, sorry.
So I'm just talking about line of sight. I just think it should be, the document should align in that way that, if it's in the AMP and it sort of informs the LTFP, etc. It would just be nice to see that in there. There's also like the Vale House, talks, I can't remember what page it was, but it said, the roof's in condition 5. I would have thought that would have been in the renewal. So I'm just saying, like, you're identifying things in your condition report, but you're not bringing them up into your actual renewal plan. I just think there's an inconsistency the way the document's actually working. It's not, you identify, I think it's great that we've done a condition order, but then you're not actually using that data to actually inform your capital spend. Therefore, it's not going to be picked up in the long-term financial plan. So, I mean, the Vale House roof would be, I don't know how much would that roof cost to replace. It's completely at end of life apparently. So,
yeah, I mean, I know we've got funding this financial year, 150,000, which was some salt dam remediation plus some additional works. But yeah, I would have to sort of take a price to replace that roof on notice and bring that back to council.
yeah. And then on the page 144, under table 9A, under renewal, it says 200,000 for the pre-kindergarten site review. What would that be? Because, but again, look, I really don't want to be that guy picking at the pieces, but I'm just, what I'm worried about is that this is a public facing, that we're going to put this out to the public, and it does inform the long-term financial plan. I just don't think the messaging is there, especially when you look at, the pre-kindy. It's basically saying that it's an overall condition of 322. Its replacement value is 418,000. So I'm saying that the roof is a 4. It's in very poor condition. Superstructure is 2. The OTI, so right now superstructure is 3. The substructure is 2, but the OTI is 3.02. I know it's all about your weightings, but I'm thinking this is a strategic site for us, and what are we going to do with that building when we go to make a decision on to potentially demolish it or whatever, we'd be asking why are we if it's only sort of just over halfway through its life based on that condition rating. And then, so I was trying to work out, and the old club change rooms out the back there have a condition of 3.73, but that's replacement value is 427,000, which is way more than the pre-kindy. And I'm just, again, I mean, I've been in that building, there's nothing in it, it's just a vacant shell, whereas I've never been in the pre-kindy, but I'm assuming it's got a wet area and toilets and everything, so I would have thought that replacement value would have been more than the old change rooms. So I'm just raising these questions. I'm just wondering, I don't know the calculations behind all this, because that's all done in-house, but I'm just reading the document for what it is. I'm just saying it's not really lining up for me the way I think it probably, I mean, this is a document that informs our decision making, but I don't think it's really going to justify our decisions for anything that we do. Even, the sports club's obviously coming in a pretty good condition. I know it really comes down to the functionality of the building. The asset management plan doesn't really talk about the functionality of a building or the level of service. In fact, it actually talks at the very front end on page, in the introduction, the first dot point, it says it's going to provide a defined level of service and monitoring performance, but I'm not seeing a defined level of service. The footpaths, roads, well, particularly those two in Stormwater, providing, like, it's an easier asset class, but you had like an overall condition index which you were able to use. But I'm not seeing the way this document's written. You're talking about customer requests and whatnot. You're not really hitting up the document's not providing a defined level of service. Which I know with a sports club you can go into functionality and everything and saying the future use of it, and there might be a need for an upgrade, but that's not the way the document's presenting to me. So I think if this was to go up or we're asking for grant funding, I'd like this document to be stronger to try and help us get grant funding, to say the building's not functionally going to support the use into the next 20 or 40 years. So I just like the document to be stronger. So that's like I said, there's other things in the document I could bring up, but I think I've spoken enough.
Can I just raise just a quick point of order, not to jump in, but can we sort of enable more than just questions? Would it be advisable to suspend meeting procedures so we can have a conversation? There's a number of questions at the moment.
Yeah, is there an appetite to suspend meeting procedures?
I don't particularly need it, but I mean, I've said enough.
You've said enough. All right, well, if you said enough, then we won't. But if you said if it was more, I'm happy to, it allows free.
I'll just say through the chair that the audit committee did raise concerns when we were talking about the valuations on some of those that you just mentioned. So there was a lot of conversation around the valuations on those properties. So yeah.
Yeah, through the chair, we can certainly take that paper out and recommend that we come back to address some of those issues, and even flipping through while we've mentioned that in the unfunded items that the sports club needs upgrading, ironically because of the lag in this document being adopted. Was since a couple of minutes ago endorsed the long-term financial plan for public consultation, which actually does include the funding of that. So that will, by delaying it another month or so, actually means we can tidy that up as well to say it is funded in the draft long-term financial plan. So there's a few of those things we can do and tidy up and bring it back to council for their consideration. And we'll work in Councillor Nenke offline about some of those more specifics that we need to address to ensure that we've got them covered.
Yeah, and I think there's a few typos in the Parks and Gardens one as well. So there's things I can point out to you pretty quickly. But I mean, the funny thing is I didn't even really read the document. I only read it for about 10 minutes last night. There's things I just started thinking. I appreciate a lot of the community don't read these plans, but I think if we're going up, putting our hands up for grant funding and we want all the supporting documentation we can, I think it's imperative that we actually get these documents streamline and have that line of sight through the long-term financial plan, show that we're actually serious about having designs in place and having the funding in place, etc. And even for the renewal of the roof on Vale House, whatever it is, it's just looking at that SCOSA report and saying that our renewal ratio is, I can't remember the wording of it now, but I think that's kind of indicating that we're not identifying these projects like we should be. The ANP's, that document does identify that project, and yet we're going to put something out in community consultations not identifying it, so it's just, yeah.
Do we need a motion to defer with a date to come back, or is it assumed? Question.
Through the chair, you can decide. It's totally up to your choice whether the mover is. You can defer to non-disclosed date, or you can defer to a disclosed date.
I'd be happy to leave it to the administration to come up with that date. It's on their timelines. So sorry, yeah, I didn't disrupt everything. I've done that. Sorry.
No, we're keen to make sure they're, through the chair, we're keen to make sure that they're right and that they're accurate, because we, when we go to funding, our funding provider will want to make sure that they're robust and up to date and they marry up with the long-term financial plan. So the more robust they are, the better we'll have a chance of getting some funding in the near future when required.
I suppose, like you said, the funding's in the long-term financial plan. So even if we just match that funding in the AMP just to show that, that's my thoughts. I don't know whether the administration will completely agree with that or not, but yeah.
Any other questions from other council members who haven't spoken? No. Could I get a mover for this deferral? Councillor Nanki, and a seconder, Councillor Root. All in favour? Carried. Item 15.5, Eastern Health Authority Draft Annual Business Plan and Budget 25-26. Council approves the said plan. Anything from administration?
I think it's pretty straightforward. Actually shows a reduction in our contribution and is a standard annual report that we would do.
Any queries from council? No. If I could get a mover. Councillor Zeppel, seconder, Councillor Trotter. All in favour? It's carried. Item 15.6, Highbury Landfill Authority Draft Budget 25-26. The council approves said budget. Anything further from the administration on that one?
Similar to last time, this was a bit of discussion at the Audit and Risk Committee, but yeah, certainly recommending its approval.
Excellent. Any queries from the council? Right. Mover, please. Councillor Core, seconder. Councillor Vanstone. All in favour? That is carried. Item 15.7, parking permit policy. And anything further?
Can I make some comments there, Mr. Chair? As Council aware, we considered a draft parking policy at the last meeting. Council also fairly firm that we should also review parking restrictions in totality, which is subject to the next report that you've got on the agenda today. We went out on to public consultation on this policy. We got about 5 different responses. Most of them were predominantly relating to the restrictions in place rather than the actual policy itself. There were a couple of minor suggestions about where permits should be placed and also how you get around multiple permits that have been issued, how we should address temporary parking permits, and we'll certainly follow up with the individually raise that. I think there's a few suggestions internally how we might be able to address that person's particular issue. Otherwise, I'm recommending the report be adopted as is at this stage.
Excellent. Any discussion from council? No? If I could get a mover for the policy? Councillor Root and a seconder. Councillor Core. All in favour? It's carried. Item 15.8, parking restrictions review. Again, CEO, anything further?
I'll defer this one to the Group Manager of Assets and Infrastructure.
Through the chair, council may recall some work late last year into early this year around Woodland School with Dartmouth Terrace restrictions, which have, as the report shows, worked quite well. The report also touches on, I guess, a deeper review based on some recent workshops with council around parking restrictions in general and an opportunity to survey the community to get their feedback on how well parking zones and restrictions are working, so that we can adjust and change those areas if required. So yeah, pretty much sums it up.
Excellent, thank you.
And the second part of that was just the proposed engagement timeline, I think was raised at the last meeting against the entirety of the restrictions, and we're aiming to early next month come back with a communication plan and survey questions, which we're hoping to go through some consultation, and probably in August to sit down and go through what's received and work our way through it. And just depending on what we receive back in feedback as to what we do as far as further consultation or otherwise at that stage, because I think there was some concern by council they didn't want the issue to drag on. So we would be hopeful, touch wood, not knowing what's coming back, that we could wrap it up this calendar year.
Thank you, CEO. Any questions, queries from council? Alright, could I get a mover? Councillor Zappel, seconder. Councillor Core. All in favour? It's carried. Okay, item 15.9, future living code amendment. I'll go to the CEO.
I'll refer that to the Manager of Planning and Community Safety, if you wouldn't mind briefing council on, giving a quick summary of the report and the background.
Sure. So the Future Living Code Amendment was evolved from the co-housing for ageing well project from 2020. Council's administration has been involved with that project and the Future Living Code Amendment project. Council endorsed the support for the Future Living Code Amendment to go to public notification. That public notification was run by the Plan SA with workshops being held. A workshop was being held at Prospect for where staff from both Prospect and Town of Walkerville attended and fielded questions and engaged with the community. That community engagement process resulted in an engagement plan, which was an engagement document with recommendations for implementation of the code amendment in 2 stages, with some minor changes to that code amendment and refinement to that code amendment to make it more practical. That Future Living Code Amendment, as the council members would recall, allows for multiple generation housing and similar type models within the historic character fabric, and allows for more sympathetic development. It's a relatively there's likely to be a relatively small take-up of this housing model, but it is a useful housing option, especially for intergenerational families. This is now seeking endorsement of the council to adopt that Future Living Code Amendment layer for the Town of Walkerville, as well as the other councils that are involved.
Thank you. So the motion to provide support. Could we get a mover? Councillor Core, seconder. Councillor Williams. All in favour? It's carried. item 15.10, representation review report for consultation. Yeah, anything further, CEO?
I think it's relatively straightforward. We did have workshop and previous council meeting endorsed the discussion paper. This is taking the discussion paper to retain existing council membership and no awards out to the public for consultation.
Excellent. Anything further? No? Councillor?
Just happy to move the resolution.
We're moving forward.
Yeah, no. Okay, moved by Councillor Williams, second by Councillor Trumbull. All in favour? That's carried. Item 15.11, Council's representative for the LGA SA Ordinary General Meeting. Is there anything further?
No, we're just trying to endorse yourself to make vote on behalf of the council at the AGM in the absence of the mayor.
I'll move it.
Move it.
I'll second it.
Excellent. Councillor Vanstone moving, Councillor Trotter seconding. All in favour? It's carried. Thanks, guys. Item 16.1, monthly financial report. The council receives and notes the monthly financial report as of 30 April 2025. Anything further, Mohammed?
Nothing further directly.
Nothing. Anything of Councillor Knight, mover? Councillor Trotter? Seconder, Councillor Vanstone. All in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item 16.2, monthly work report for April 2025. The council will note and receive the monthly works report for April. Anything further, James?
Through the chair, members may notice we've sort of improved the works report slightly to include updates on the major projects, some photos, timelines, budgetary. We do have a more detailed update in the confidential section of the reports, but this is a good snapshot for the community to see where the projects are at and how we're tracking. So, yeah, we will be continuing that each month.
If I may also say, Chair, that was an initiative that was requested at the last council meeting, so if elected members want more or less information to appear in that section, they can let us know. It's our first attempt to review what we present to the public while keeping commercially in confidence and keeping the entirety of the report for council's transparency in the actual confidential section.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from council? No? Could I get a mover? Councillor Ripp, seconder. Councillor Core. All in favour? That is carried. Item 17.1, confidential report, major project status update. Could I get a mover to take the matter into confidence? Councillor Zeppel, seconder. Councillor Trotter, all in favour? Carried. The time being 7:48 PM, the meeting moved into confidence.